Good evening, everybody. Yes, we'll start with our regular session of the Organon of Medicine. We have finished a big topic of intermittent diseases, right from aphorism number 231 to 244. And this has been specifically dedicated to the varieties of intermittent disease, including the types, then their homeopathic approaches. Hahnemann have classified the intermittent diseases in firstly two types, the alternating diseases and typical intermittent diseases. Then he further divided the typical intermittent diseases into two varieties, the non-febrile variety of intermittent disease and febrile variety of typical intermittent disease. And again, febrile he has classified into endemic and epidemic and sporadic first, and second variety, the endemic one. This classification helped us in order to understand exactly how homeopathic approach is there in each and every specific case of the disease. And that's why he has classified them properly. So it becomes very easy for us to treat which variety of the case we are treating, and accordingly our approach fixed in our mind we can apply. And this method of applying the medicine is the wonderful method, and one should develop this. This logic should be there with everyone. This logic gives you exactness in your application. And this thought Hahnemann have put forward in those aphorisms while explaining the intermittent diseases. We have given nearly about a period of 15 days to work out with these intermittent diseases. So now we will shift towards the next part of the most practical part of the organ of medicine related with the potency and repetition question. And many queries are there in homeopath's mind. What to do, what not to do, whether to repeat, whether not to repeat. Every thought is there with everyone's mind. And that's why anyone have made it very clear. So we have to understand all those concepts clearly. So we'll start with 245 aphorism onwards. We'll finish 2 aphorism in today's session, 245 and 46. And every day we'll go ahead with one aphorism only, because there is a big aphorism along with big footnotes. And we have to understand this potency question clearly. I know that there are many queries developed when we deal with the potencies, because material doses are very clear, very confirmed. It is very easy to catch exactly the material doses because things are rather material. When it leads to the dynamic, it becomes rather difficult. It is not possible to get a right potency unless and until you understand next person, unless and until you understand the miasmatic background, unless and until you understand the constitution, unless and until you judge the susceptibility, and unless and until you understand what exact pathology you are going to treat. Depending on that, all those many factors, we have to decide, judge a potency. And that's why to judge a potency in homeopathy is rather a difficult task as compared to the allopathic method or modern medicine, because they deals with the material aspect, we deals with the dynamic aspect of the human being. And that's why to understand potency is a very important aspect. Few aspects with this organon, it becomes clear. But my suggestion to all of you, if there are any queries in your mind, do attend with our sessions regular. Practically you must attend the OPD at least few days, then you understand exactly the potency problem. Just theoretically it is rather difficult, and that's why to understand potency, these aphorisms definitely help you. We'll start with the 245 onwards. 245 is a bridge between the last aphorism and this new one, 246. We have read it yesterday, we'll again read it today. Having thus seen what attention should, in homeopathic treatment, be paid to the chief varieties of diseases and to the peculiar circumstances connected with them, we now pass on to what we have to say respecting the remedies and the mode of employing them, together with the regimen to be observed during their use. See, he is very clear which is thought. He never says just give the remedy. This thought is not there with homeopath's mind. Generally, what I observe when I visit many places, I observe the homeopath just prescribe the remedy. Hahnemann every time have explained that it is not the thing. You have to explain the regimen. You have to concentrate on the diet of the patient. So all those methods matters a lot. It is not just prescribing remedy, but you have to explain the patient how he will go or he or she will going to get clear. You have to explain exactly the auxiliary measures. You have to talk about how the diet and daily regimen will. And for that purpose, during case taking, you have to understand their daily regimen. And these all things matters a lot. To reach to the right potency, again, is a big task. For that purpose, you have to understand the depth of the case. And all those matters a lot. So in 245, he says that now we have to shift towards the practical application of the medicine. You have choose the medicine, but just giving the medicine is not the treatment. You have to tell the patient the regimen. You have to tell the patient regarding the diet. You have to tell the patient regarding the exercises. You have to tell the patient regarding the exact doses, the mode of applying the medicine, and that he will now shifting towards that part. And then 246, write on your book 246 to 248 aphorism. They are absolutely changed in this sixth edition of Organon of Medicine. So Hahnemannian concept was rather different in fifth edition regarding the repetition of doses. He mentioned in fifth edition, just give a single dose of centesimal scale and wait and watch. But during last 5 years of his life, he has changed his thought. He changed from giving a single dose to the repeated repetition of the doses. And that thought was his understanding regarding how to deal with those patients and how to get early recovery. Hahnemann got stuck with that he used to get long time to cure the chronic diseases because of giving the single dose and wait and watch method. And that's why he has changed his thought. And that thought, which has been changed after experimenting, he has added it in sixth edition. And three aphorisms, 246, 247, 248, are completely changed by Hahnemann in this sixth edition regarding the repetition of doses. So we'll learn the 246 and a footnote to this paragraph in today's session. Aphorism 246. Every perceptibly progressive and striking increasing amelioration during the treatment is a condition which, as long as it lasts, completely precludes every repetition. Precludes म्हणजे आगाऊ काळजी घेऊन घडू न देणे. Precludes एखाद्या गोष्टीची आधीच काळजी घेणे. Completely precludes every repetition of the administration of any medicine whatsoever, because all the good the medicine taken continues to effect is now hastening towards its completion. Hastening म्हणजे त्वरेने घडून जाणे. Fast. It is in happening fast. This is not infrequently the case in acute diseases, but in more chronic diseases, on the other hand, a single dose of an appropriately selected homeopathic remedy will at times complete, even with but slow progressive improvement, and give the help which such a remedy in such a case can accomplish naturally within 40, 50, 60, 100 days. So what used to happen with Hahnemann? He has explained earlier that give a single dose of appropriately perfect remedy to the patient suffering from chronic disease. But what at the same time, what he explains, many times it has been observed that these patients are not getting settled. They take 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, even 100 days to get the recovery. And how much we can wait? You cannot wait. And patient also cannot wait. So what he said, this is however rare but rarely the case, and besides, it must be a matter of great importance to the physician as well as to the patient that where it possible, this period should be diminished to one half, one quarter, and even less, so that a much more rapid cure might be obtained. So he thinks that how one should understand this period is a big period. One cannot wait for this much of period. So what should be done in order to reduce that period to the half or quarter or even more less than that? And then he said, and this may be very happily effective as recent, often repeated observations have taught me under the following conditions. And what he said, this this can be done with new method which he has introduced. And what he said, firstly, if the medicine selected with utmost care was perfectly homeopathic, first thing, if you want early result, your remedy should be very perfectly similar. That is first mm, condition in order to get early result. Second condition. Secondly, if it is highly potentized, dissolved in water and given in proper small dose, that experience has taught as the most suitable in definite intervals for quickest accomplishment of the cure, but with the precaution that the degree of every dose deviates somewhat from the preceding and following, in order that vital principle, which is to be altered to a similar medicinal disease, be not aroused to untoward reactions and revolt. Revolt म्हणजे बंड करून उठणे. And revolt, as is always the case, with unmodified and specially rapidly repeated doses. See what he is explaining. In the fifth edition, while explaining the regarding the repetition of doses, he said he was very stuck with the fixed idea that one dose should be given. And because he was getting problems, he worked out with that. And ultimately, in the last 5 years of his life, he worked with potencies much more way. And he said that instead of giving that dry on the tongue, you can make the solution of it dissolve in a water. And every time when you give that dose, every time it should be modified slightly. So if you would have given the 30 potency, you should not give 30 every time repeated. You alter it. You make it 30 to 31, 31 to 32, 30 to 33. And how can you do that? You can do that by just same method which we have learned in pharmacy. How what we used to do when we have learned the pharmacy? We have learned that if we are giving the we are using the centesimal scale, then one part of the previous potency plus 99 part of the alcohol or the vehicle which you have to use. If you don't want to preserve the potencies, water is the best way. You add the 99% of water, give 100 succussion so that it will be modified. But it is not possible for every patient to give 100 succussions for that purpose. That's why Hahnemann says it is not necessary to give 100 succussions, but at least 10 succussions, so that the previous earlier potency and the newly developed potency, there will be a little bit change. That change will not cause a repetition of the same potency, will not aggravate the patient condition. If you modified it little bit in this way, it will every time increase the energy inside the medicine. And gradually, when it goes up and up, every time it is a modified dose, human vital force react in a different manner to this modified dose of the potency. And if you would have given that medicine in the liquid form, that will touch maximum part of your GI tract, the sensory nerves over there, and it will effect a early cure. This is the new method which he has introduced in this sixth edition of Organ of Medicine, named as a plussing technique. So flushing technique is one method which Hahnemann introduced in the sixth edition in order to get an early recovery or in order to hasten the cure. And this was completely new thought in Hahnemannian mind in last his 5 years of his life. So that was around 1837 to 1842. That period he was working more on the potencies, and he worked out with this repetition of the doses. At the same time, he worked out with the 50 millisimal scale also. These are two important entities which are added in the sixth edition of Organ of Medicine, which were not there in the fifth edition. So we must understand all those Hahnemannian concepts. He was experimenting every day. And with the help of experimentation, he came to the different conclusions. He was not rigid to make it fixed right forever. He had changed every time because he was knowing the pitfalls, what was happening with when he used to give the single dose. He understood the problem which lies behind giving a single dose. And that's why one has to understand Hahnemann from every aspect. You must understand the Hahnemann and his experimentation. We, I must suggest everyone, we should not stuck with the Hahnemannian idea of giving the medicine. We have to find it out our own solutions. Explain to the patient that take a one part of it, add 99 part of medicine, and then give the prepare next medicine, then take one TSF, again prepare new. It is rather a difficult task. Patient will not follow. In fact, patient will leave. The same thing happens in Ayurvedic treatment because they used to tell many methods, and methods are difficult rather than taking the consuming the medicine. People denies that. So my suggestion, think over it. I used to do a different way. If I give the liquid potency, I ask them that whenever you're going to take it, every time give the 10 succussion, that's all. Don't make one part of it and 99 part of our alcohol or water. All those things are rather difficult for the patient to prepare and take. I used to tell them directly, just I give them a bottle of 100 ml or for 50 ml, 500 ml. I ask them that whenever you are taking, just give 10 succussion. I teach them how to give succussion. 10 succussions every time increases the energy by 10 strokes. So it is altered in character. And when it is altered in character, it works beautifully. So this is too important to understand. We should develop our own methods. We should utilize it in our with our own intellect. We have to. It should be our method of application of medicine should be patient friendly, so that it works. I have even in 50 millisievert scale, Hahnemann have mentioned the same method of giving the medicine, but it is not so convenient for the patient to consume. So I have made a different way. I used to prepare the doses of 50 millisievert scale, ask the patient to consume it daily in the morning, because the patient who stays away at a long distance, it is not possible to send the liquid potency. So it is very easy way of just preparing the doses to send them 30 doses and ask them to take daily one dose. So these methods we have to utilize our intellect in order to make it more patient friendly and so that patient can consume. So we have to go ahead beyond the Hahnemannian thoughts in order to apply the medicine. There is one footnote. We'll read that footnote and we'll finish today's session. What he has given in footnote number 132. What I said in the fifth edition of Organ of Medicine, in a long note to this paragraph, in order to prevent these undesirable reactions of vital energy, was all that the experience I then had justified. But during the last 4 or 5 years, however, all these difficulties are wholly solved by my new altered but perfect method. The same carefully selected medicine may now be given daily or and for months if necessary. In this way, namely after the lower degree of potency has been used for 1 or 2 weeks in the treatment of chronic diseases, advance is made in the same way to higher degrees, beginning according to the new dynamization method taught herewith with the use of lowest degree. And what he says, he explains over there what he has said in fifth edition. Now he has changed his thought. Now he is turning towards the new method that applying the medicine are going gradually from low potency to gradually higher potency. And that method which he has explained in further aphorisms that we're going to learn in on Monday's session. So all those things we have to learn, we have to understand, we have to apply in our practice. If we apply all those methods, definitely our results improve. And we have to work out with potencies. I have worked out nearly about 32 years with the different potencies, different scales, and then my new ideas have evolved. So I have not just considered what upon the susceptibility constitution measure, but one more point where I focused more that where exactly I expect a cure in the patient, and not only that, what the patient expect from us at the same time. So if it is more superficial, lowest the potency. If it is more deeper, higher the potency. If it is at the dynamic level, the highest should be the potency. So we have to think, we have to understand, we have to utilize logic in order to understand exactly what potency we have to judge. And then our results improve. Then one more point which we have to take into consideration, which medicine we are giving to the patient. And for that purpose, my suggestion to all of you, just open the Gibson Miller's remedy reactions, actions and remedy reactions explained at the end of the Borix Materia Medica as well as Kent's repertory. The chart is there. It is not Kent's, it is not Borix, but this work has been done by Gibson Miller, and where he has mentioned the actions of the medicines. Go through that chart, see the action of aconite, how many days it works, allium cepa. Then find it out how many days the calcarea works, the lycopodium works, the sulfur works. Then you will understand the depth of the remedy. Then you will understand the actions of the remedy. And then whether to repeat and not to repeat, you can decide on the basis of that. The remedies which are short acting, we can repeat whenever necessary. But the remedies which are very deep acting, we should not repeat too much. Or if you want to repeat, then you have to use it in 50 millisimal scale. All those things which you have to take into consideration. And then your own thought of potency selection level. Still, there I'm damn sure that there are many queries arises in everyone's mind. My suggestion is that on the YouTube there are 3-4 lectures on potency dilemma under the heading of playlist of potency dilemma. My suggestion to all of you is go through those videos so that the problem will be solved. The many questions will be solved, and still, if there are queries, we have definitely chat over there. So that's all for today. If there are any queries, we'll have chat. Otherwise, we'll conclude and we'll meet directly on Monday. But tomorrow at 9 o'clock, there will be a session on Materia Medica. Definitely, Aurum and its salts. 9 o'clock from Divine School of Homeopathy. And same password ID will be there for that session. Everyone can join. Ask your friends to join so that they can learn the Aurum and its salts. So thank you very much. There was one question by Dr. Vidya. Precludes म्हणजे एखाद्या गोष्टीची आधीच काळजी घेणे, आगाऊ काळजी घेणे. Precludes. रिपिटेशन करण्यापूर्वी आधीच काळजी घेणं. That is precludes. Take care before doing the things. To do it early It is just like a cautious before giving a next dose. You should be cautious enough. That is precludes. Anything else? So we'll conclude today's session and we'll meet on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock and definitely on Monday with Organon session. Thanks a lot.